Hello, everybody. So nice after 8 years of putting 1,000 shows on this stage to actually get to be the talent for once. It's nice to be up here. Thanks for coming out today. Isn't this theater beautiful? I don't know if you realize this, but it's about to be our 90th birthday. The Fox turns 90 in January. I believe it's around the first week of January. So we're going to have you all back here for a party when that happens. I feel really honored by capturing that story because it's been one heck of a ride. And the video mentioned that I had a feeling in my heart. You remember that part? That these old, beautiful theaters were going to play some kind of role for me in my life. So let's address the two key words in that statement, heart and role. Why did I phrase it that way? What was my true why for buying this theater? I was on Easy Street. I was CEO of a global company. I loved my company. I think my employees loved me. We only had 4 leave in a decade. That's a pretty good track record with 50 employees. We had over 10,000 customers. We inspired college students to live their dreams. I really thought I'd run that company my whole life. Things were good. I was living on the beach in Santa Cruz. I had a view of the ocean. I was only working about 7 hours a day to figure that commute out. So why take the risk? Would you agree? Pretty big risk. Why do anything? Here's a list of pros and cons that I actually made at that time. No joke. Would you all agree with me that it certainly wasn't logic that I listened to? What would logic tell you to do in this instance with these pros and cons staring you back in the face? There was one more. My wife was supportive. That was on the pro side. But isn't this why we're here today? You heard it earlier from Patrick. You heard it earlier from Val. If logic is the only voice talking, wouldn't we all turn our backs on bliss every time? Bliss isn't about logic that comes from your head. It's about what comes from your heart. What my brain came to realize at that particular decision point is that it just wasn't in charge. My heart was. My brain couldn't compete with the fact that I fell in love with old historic theaters as a kid. When my grammar school, of all things, I wasn't even 10, 12 years old, would take me on field trips to see the Nutcracker. You guys ever see the Nutcracker here? That's why we have the Nutcracker here. We all need to see the Nutcracker as a kid. But we went to the San Francisco War Memorial Opera House to see the Nutcracker. And to be honest, I could care less about what was on the stage. I really could. But when I walked into that lobby and I looked up and saw this architecture, something started to stir inside of me. And then I made my way into the auditorium. And I think that was really the first time in my life I remember actually being truly inspired by something other than girls, sports, and eating. And that feeling, those memories, stayed with me all the way through my early adult life. I actually had a vision board, remember vision boards? In my bedroom through my entire 20s, probably why I stayed single till 35, and well into my 30s that had pictures of all the most famous historic theaters from around the world. I put them up without really knowing the why. Sometimes you don't know why you have something in your heart, but my heart trusted that that would become clear later. I just knew that they inspired me and that I wanted them to be the first thing I saw every morning when I woke up. Look at that. If that's not beauty, I don't know what is. So today, you sit in the very place that was my bliss for 8 years. And that's why I get to be on the stage today. The fabric on the chairs. You notice they actually match with the ones back there, the super comfortable ones back there that you're not sitting in. It wasn't easy to get that matching. I had to search the world to get it. It wasn't easy to get these chairs. We moved the chairs out. That's why they have to be stackable. I spent literally months looking at fabrics before I enthusiastically picked that one. And I sure as heck remember coming up with an innovative approach to funding the seats. We were so broke at that point that we literally had to put it back to our patrons. You want new seats that don't stick you in the ass with a 50-year-old metal spring when you sit down? Help us freaking pay for one. We just bought this place out of foreclosure. Nobody else was willing to buy it. Help us out a little bit. Same with the carpet, you guys. It had to be just right. It had to match the seats. You'd be shocked to know how many carpets there are in the world to look at. This sound system that's hanging up here, we got left with no sound system when we came in. It was god awful. And I remember the day I committed $250,000 that I did not have. I took a loan at 9% interest so that we could have great sound. I also remember replacing the marquee and having the mayor, Jeff Ira, who I know is going to come here today. And little did we know, a pigeon got trapped behind the marquee's plastic literally that day when we put the marquee up, the brand new marquee. So here's Mayor Ira, who I've just met and I'm trying to impress, right, and get on his good side. And he has the media there to do a ribbon cutting and a speech. And literally the pigeon is banging up against the thing, trying to get free. So those of you that are animal lovers like me, we did get it out. We just had to wait for the awful speech to get done with the banging pigeon. So everything about this place, we needed to have a red carpet because you just don't know who might show up in 2012. That's one of my favorite marquees ever. It actually, the day the DNC showed up, it had ABBA, President Obama, and Air Supply. And they immediately asked me to take down ABBA and Air Supply. Everything about this place has a story behind it. Who gets to do that? That was backstage. That was 20 feet back here. I get choked up just thinking about it. If that's not bliss on my face, seeing my wife meet the President of the United States, I don't know what bliss is. That's me holding court with the President of the United States. You know what I'm telling him? How I bought this place. I'm thanking him. Since the banks weren't freaking lending, which you'll hear about later from me, he actually freed up SBA to be more aggressive with lending. Only way we were able to buy this theater, you guys. Like I said, $300 in life savings. That's pretty good. Most people I know had nothing. At least we had something, and that was all we needed to be able to buy this theater for $6 million, all SBA loan. So my wife and I had so many incredible experiences here. That's with Oprah backstage. She literally sat right here and got interviewed once. So many shows. Like I said, 1,000 shows that we've had. And all my life, my wife and I think to ourselves, we've only been here 8 years. This thing's been here 90 years. What are the other stories? And who are the other owners that are going to come after us for the next couple of decades? Will they put their heart and soul in this? I sure hope so. You don't buy a historical theater today because it's freaking logical. You do it because your heart desires it. What I just told you is a love story. And most bliss journeys are. When love stories go right, magic can happen. And by magic, I mean growth and contribution. Maybe people see your efforts and they start giving you awards. That they say, I see you. Woo! A lot of effort. I see you, and I thank you for all your efforts. You don't do it for that, but it sure as hell feels good when a friend like Roseanne and an Amy and a Beth, you're all here today, acknowledge you. It's fantastic. So maybe it allows you to do something completely new, too. It emotionally touches you. But maybe you get to build a freaking building your own building that's gonna last 100 years. I'm not a developer. What the hell did I know? I know I had some parking lots and I'm a pretty darn good entrepreneur. Well, that's our building right back here. It was just a bunch of dirt gravel. That building's leased up for a decade. I think it's beautiful. I hope you guys like it, and I'm proud of it. Maybe it allows you to start a freaking magazine. I started a magazine because I just wanted some positivity, and I wanted people to be proud of our downtown. We actually got an ad on the back. I don't own this magazine anymore. I sold it for $1 as long as they promised to hire everybody that I employed and keep it going and to keep it classy. Maybe, just maybe, it brings you incredible financial rewards that you never really planned for, wished for, hoped for, allowing yourself to buy your dream home, even in a place like Silicon Valley. In 2016, a local real estate tycoon offered my wife and I $20 million to sell the Fox Theater. We bought the theater in a recession for $6 million. We borrowed another $1 million to fix it up. So selling it at this price would net us a $13 million profit in just 7 years. I would show you the pros and cons of that decision tree, but well, I'm a lot of things, but I'm not a dummy. Because this was when logic took over and the brain definitely won. And we took the money. But sometimes bliss runs come to a natural and epic end. And it's something to know when it's the right time. It's important. But not even a month after the close, I found myself struggling with a feeling that something very important was missing from my life. It wasn't the theater, because the owner asked me to stay on to run it for 4 more years. So I still get to do that. By any measures, I should have felt great. I had and still have a wonderful marriage. I have amazing lifelong friends, many of whom are here today that flew in from all over the world. I had a laundry list of business accomplishments in my past that I was proud of, and people even knew me for. I was living in my dream home that I had truly, and that's where that emotion came from earlier, earned. I even had an awesome hobby. I make wine. If you go into our venues, you drink our red wine. You don't get another choice. Plus, I just netted enough money to never have to work again. It's enough. I don't need more. It's plenty. Yet still, like an albatross around my neck, I can feel something important was missing. But I didn't know what it is. 6 months before, I would have guessed my health, which I'd completely forfeited while running this theater, by the way. And it almost killed me, literally. I was 310 pounds with a blood sugar level 6 times what it was supposed to be. And it ended me up in the ER, and the doctors were amazed I didn't drop dead from a heart attack or have a stroke. Diagnosis was diabetes. That was my huge wake-up call. But that was 2 years ago today. Today I went to Sequoia Hospital 2 years ago, and they prescribed lifelong drugs. I nodded, threw them in the garbage, went home to the internet, and decided to become an expert on what causes diabetes. And I was able to defeat it in less than 4 months. I lost 80 pounds. I feel great. I've kept that weight off this whole time. So I thought that was going to take like 5 years, and it took 4 months. And so I had time on my hands, and I had a lot of thinking to do. I started to call my friends, and they're telling me I should do this and this, you'd be great at this. But I had love, I had success, and I had my health now. But still, I wasn't joyful. And then, sitting on my easy chair at my beautiful home, When my lifelong friend Patrick Combs, who you saw earlier, does a Facebook Live and talks about the importance of following your bliss, I don't think I'd ever heard that word, at least not in a sentence. It literally hit me in my soul. What's missing from my successful life is my bliss. In the past 10 years, I've made plenty, and even made what many have called a huge positive impact in my community, Redwood City. But I had ignored my true, deepest bliss in the process. You see, my bliss has always been helping others live their most joyful life. My bliss wasn't just owning and operating theaters. It was having the setting I most loved and adored to deliver the message I wanted to deliver. I've waited all that time till today. But I'd put it away in frustration after feeling like I'd failed in my previous endeavor, trying to do just that. So sitting in my dream home, I knew the cost of ignoring my bliss was feeling happy, but not joyful. Being well off, but not fulfilled. Feeling good, but not alive. That day, literally that day, I decided to follow my bliss again by creating a new company. Joseph Campbell says, magic doors open for those who follow their bliss. Through a series of unforeseen events, magic doors quickly opened for me. I met the perfect partners. And that's when Bliss Champions was born. Now fast forward a year. It's only been a year. We're in Kauai, in the midst of running our third Risk for Bliss retreat. Some of you were there. We're graduating our first class of 8 participants, and everyone has had a massive transformation. I'm sitting in the hot tub with Patrick. We finally get a moment to ourselves to just kind of chill out. And that's the hot tub. I didn't take that off Google. So right over there is the hot tub. Nice view, pretty much look like that every night. And this hot tub is part of this infinity pool, obviously, that looks over 180-degree view. It's in a $35 million house, not my house, that we had rented to put this retreat on. And a guy runs up to us and he says, guys, I've had the biggest breakthrough my entire life this week, and I know what my bliss is, and I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. And he scampers off. Patrick and I congratulate him on his way away. And while he walks away, it quickly dawns on us that this guy wasn't even actually a customer. He was one of the bliss experts we brought in to teach everybody how to follow their bliss. Earlier in the day, this massively wealthy auto parts owner who owns this unbelievable estate in Kauai calls. I take the call. Yes, sir. What can I do? I'm not doing anything in your house. I don't think so. Do you have video cameras there or something? And he asked me if we could run our retreat for his family next year. The property manager and the cleaners told him about it. Patrick and I literally just smiled, and I'll wrap up with this part. And I made a little joke. I looked at Patrick and I said, Patrick, we're gonna be rich. Now, Patrick knew full well that we had given scholarships to just about every retreat customer to date, so we were definitely not getting financially rich from our work that week. However, he took the bait, because he is a comedian, and he asked me a question. He said, Eric, if this company did make us rich, how would you spend your money? I took a look around, and with a big shit-eating grin on my face, I said, if I were rich, I would take vacations at a $35 million mansion with a 180-degree view of the ocean with not one, but 2 hot tubs and an infinity pool. They actually have a second hot tub on the other side. Patrick, picking up on the irony of it all, says, and with my cut of the riches, I would make sure that any vacation I took had 2 world-class masseuses, not one, with British accents. I then fired back, and I would want a house with not just one kitchen, but 2 kitchens. Because you gotta have 2 kitchens. The gourmet chef has to make 3 meals for us a day at the Michelin-rated level so that we can all be fed properly. We were having such a good time and laughing so hard that one by one, all the participants said, we gotta go see what's going on with Patrick and Eric. And they started to get in the hot tub with us. So before you know it, we awkwardly had I think 15 people. I think even the chef came in and got in. And they didn't say a word, and they just watched us go back and forth and play this game. And when Patrick and I had finally run out of things to describe that we had just experienced the entire week with a dozen or more other people we had helped discover their bliss, he looked around the hot tub at each of us like the freaking guru he is, and he said, hey, everyone, if only we were rich, we could live rich. That was the moment I realized I had what I'd been searching for, pure bliss. We had fun. We experienced joy. It's my wife, Lori. I felt fulfilled. I felt alive. You can't fake that. And it's funny, because I've held some really big checks in my life, but none of them were as big as the paycheck I got from my bliss. Thank you very much, everybody.